California recently has Kevin DeLeon, which came out a year ago, pressing the SB 54 bill on the table. We're going to talk about that. We're going to also talk about what happened in Sacramento, where a young man was in his backyard and shot 20 times by the police. And then we're also going to talk about an elderly woman in Arizona, 84 years old, slammed to the ground from the police regarding brutality. But first of all, I need you to make sure that, for those who don't know, I am the CEO of Urban Game Changers. Urban Game Changers, we go into urban communities and we hold elected officials accountable, as well as ourselves. So for many of you guys who are not holding elected officials accountable, if you're not going to city council meetings, if you're not going to your police trying to build a better communication and relationship, you are failing on a local level. Government is not ran by President Trump only. You have local, state, and federal, and things that affect you on a personal level, from the dog catcher to the street brutality that is going on, all comes down to legislation and comes down to you, the people, not speaking up, closing your eyes, saying it doesn't affect me, but in the end, it could happen to you. So today we're going to talk about two forms of abuse, and one key form of abuse right now, which is SB 54. What is SB 54? Many people ask that question. What the hell is SB 54? SB 54 is a bill that was put on the table, a Senate bill put on the table by Kevin DeLeon. Kevin DeLeon is the one that put this bill on the table. So I want you to see and hear what he is talking about. So let's watch this one.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to present SB 54, which will protect the safety and well-being of all Californians by ensuring that state and local resources are not used to separate families and ultimately hurt the California economy. This past week, the President confirmed some of our worst fears by signing an executive order on interior immigration enforcement. He will not focus on criminals, as he promised on the campaign trail. Instead, his deportation policy will be a dragnet for thousands, if not millions, of hardworking immigrants. The executive order dramatically blurs the definition of what a serious criminal actually is. For example, it calls for the prioritization of anyone charged with any criminal offense. Anyone who has, quote, committed acts that constitute a chargeable criminal offense. And alarmingly, those who have misrepresented themselves on an application before a governmental agency and have used any program related to receipt of public benefits. The latter two are particularly troubling if you understand what undocumented immigrants have to do to survive and provide for their families. As is proven by the executive order, the current administration has used fear-mongering rhetoric of immigrants flooding across the border. These scapegoating tactics are not new to us in California, because we all witnessed the divisive campaign of Proposition 187 back in 1994. As we know, because of our own history in California, that draconian immigration policies do not work.
Okay, so I am going to tell you in synopsis what Kevin DeLeon is trying to push through. When you have a chance on Facebook, on California Senate Democrats YouTube is where I've gotten that information, and you can hear the whole story. SB 54 is a bill that he has put on the table that basically says that the California policing, if it's LAPD, if it's Sacramento PD, if it's any city police, any law enforcement in the state of California will not comply to federal officials, federal officers. Meaning that if they were to capture an illegal immigrant in the state of California for wrongdoing, number one, they're here illegal. Illegal is a wrongdoing act. If you steal from someone, it's a wrongdoing act. So they've taken the word and said you can't call them illegal. You can't call them an alien. Alias is not a word they want to use in California. Illegal is not a word they want to call. They don't even want to call them undocumented. The terminology that Kevin DeLeon continues to say is that they're all immigrants. Well, they're not. They come here, they're refugees, they're illegals, and they're aliens that have invaded California, including him. Kevin DeLeon's parents and family members are illegal immigrants. We have a senator who continues to appoint people in state positions and giving illegal immigrants, aliens, illegals, and appointing people who are not American citizens state positions. This is the problem that we're having in California. Our legislators and our state leaders are appointing people to volunteer and run the state slowly but surely, filtering out American people and pushing new legislation, a new ideology, a new infrastructure of America in California. They want to use California as a template for the rest of America. They want to look at California and say, California will be an example of what we are going to do with the head of Kevin DeLeon, Eric Garcetti, and of course, those who love this man, Jerry Brown, loser Jerry Brown, crazy Kevin DeLeon, and lost his damn mind, Eric Garcetti, the mayor of Los Angeles. They are colluding, aiding and abetting against the federal government, the United States of America, and the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. The California that you know of today is not the California if you were here 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and past those years. The California that you see today is in a rebel state of war. Now stay with me, and I need you to listen because I got a lot of information to share, but I want you to have a clarity and clearness about this. So I would ask that you share this video because there's a lot of confusion about Kevin DeLeon and SB 54 and why are these people all upset at city council meetings. I'm going to tell you why they're upset about city council meetings, because SB 54, what it has done is disrupted an infrastructure of protection for American law-abiding citizens in the state of California. Well, how has it done that, Shirley? Because what it's saying is that the federal policing, that if the feds come into California, ICE police come into California, as you can see in the screen, see that bear? See that bear? Let's sign them over. See that bear? ICE police out of LA, out of California. They don't want Homeland Security in California. This is the kind of idiotic state I'm living in right now. Loser mentality state that does not want to protect us from illegal immigrants, hepatitis A, hepatitis B, disease bugs that are coming in from other countries, fleas that are coming in other countries, bed bugs that we are growing in California. They don't want to protect us. They want us to invade on our communities and bring their lifestyle here and utilize our safety, infrastructural, welfare systems to feed their families regarding their issues. These are losers. And I tell you why they're losers. Because you're not fixing things in your own country. You rather invade the United States of America. You rather come into the United States of America, push black families on the street, become police officers to attack black families, Latino American families, Asian American families, inner city cultural families are being invaded by illegal immigrants who want to act like they are people who have problems and want us to fix them. Well, let me wake you up, illegal immigrants, aliens. We all have problems. But where you fail is you've allowed your country to become destitute. You've allowed Mexico. You've allowed all these other countries, you people from Syria or wherever countries you're coming from. You've allowed your government to fail, and you invade on countries around the world, including BRICS, with the things that they're dealing with, and you've made it a world problem. And now you want the United States and the state of California to be the pivoting sounding board. But there is a group of rebels who are pushing back, and I want to share that with you. Recently, the people rising, including many who are involved with Urban Game Changers California, has set out to continue since 2015, 14, 13, before President Trump was even the president of the United States of America. We were out there on that front line, going to those city council meetings in Huntington Park, going to those city council meetings and telling those elected officials, you do not have the right to continue to push legislation upon us. That is not right. You sit there and they start speaking in Spanish. You know what they tell me to do? They told me that I need to put headsets on to hear what is going on at the city council meetings in English. This is the rhetoric that we have in this country. These are the things that are going on in this country that you guys don't know in the state of California that they're doing to circumvent law. What does it say? We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice and domestic tranquility. There is no domestic tranquility. We do not abide by the Constitution of California or the Constitution of the United States of America. Every state has a constitution, and the constitutional that is in place in California is being altered by people like Kevin DeLeon, putting legislation and bills on the table conform to a better life of illegal immigrants and aliens and not the American people. They said immigrants make America great again. And I would beg to differ with you people, because American people contrive of not just immigrants, but children of the indigenous slave tribe who built the infrastructure of the American people. That is why black people, who I'm speaking of, black people have a museum in Washington, D.C. You don't have a museum in Washington, D.C. because you don't go back 400 years. I'm not talking about immigrants. I'm talking about illegal immigrants who are trying to invade and disrupt the lawful rights of citizens and immigrants who come here legally. Do you know what it's like to be an immigrant, to come here legally and have to deal with the illegals and want them to partner up with them? And the ones that are doing that are disrupting our infrastructure. They are immigrants who come here and buy up properties. Chinese, El Salvadorians, Saudi Arabians, buying up real estate. And then they only hire illegal immigrants and they let them do the work, because the illegal immigrants will not abide by laws and rules and regulations. So the foremen circumvent law and don't pay attention to infrastructural layouts that are in place, so they do right by what is on the paper. They don't do that. They don't have to, because they get paid under the table to rush through a job or to commence wrongful acts of completion of whatever that task given before them, to help the illegals get an extra money on the table and hurt, in the end, the American people. Y'all need to pay attention to what I'm talking about. I'm not going to be able to talk too much to the chat because I got too much to share, so I'm going to just do my show. And then later on, I'll do a rebuttal show, but I got so much information I've got to throw out at you. I've got to keep going. So what has happened? Recently, there was a city council meeting in Orange County. There are 4 cities that are retaliating against, and another one on their way, against SB 54, which I just showed you. Kevin DeLeon is proposing a bill on the table that takes law enforcement officers away from being able to work in alliance and apply to law what should be done through the federal government. Hesperia, Los Alamitos, Mission Viejo, and Santa Ana, and soon to be Huntington Beach, has said that they will not align themselves up with Jerry Brown, Kevin DeLeon, Eric Garcetti, or any of those assholes that don't want to support our president. Excuse me, our president Donald Trump is doing a hell of a job, but he ain't gonna step in. He's not going to step in because he says, you people need to get your act together. And so People Rising, Urban Game Changers California, many other people who are out here under different organizations who have been fighting and screaming before Trump was in office. And the federal government says, you know what? We're going to do something about that. So what did Kevin DeLeon not expect? Jeff Sessions 2 to 3 weeks ago came here and declared war upon this fucking state. Excuse me for cursing. And basically said, California, you are now in a federal lawsuit. We're suing you. So we're all being sued in California by the federal government because state does not want to comply with the feds. Oh, Jesus, take the wheel. Take the wheel. People will say, oh, Shirley, you seem angry. I'm beyond angry. I'm beyond angry. Don't you remember that Marvel? Don't you remember that Marvel movie with the Avengers? And they say, well, how do you become the Hulk? How does Shirley stay as the Hulk? She says, He says, I'm always angry. And you know why we're always angry in the state? Because we wake up every day, don't know what the hell is going on in the news. Don't know what the hell could happen. And now I'm going to tell you what's happening in California. What's going on now is there's a retaliation on so many fronts. It's unbelievable. But the SB 54 bill needs to be stopped. Thank God for Travis Allen. If you're voting for John Cox, please delete me off of Facebook. Please don't follow me. I'm not attacking John Cox. I think John Cox is a waste of time. Very nice man, even though he called me mean because I'm a realist. I'm not an optimist. I've been in this game a long time, John Cox, who just came here from Illinois, who came here with all this money. You should be giving money to urban game changers. You should be giving money to Travis Allen to unite the Republican Party in California instead of divide us, John Cox. Someone get this message to him. Get this message to John Cox and tell him I said, and the Travis Allen team said, step aside. Step aside and allow Travis Allen to be the front runner for this state because he is the only one who is in alignment with the SB 54 saying we do not want ICE police out of California. All these little signs that you see on this side. Y'all see that? I gotta do my finger. On that side. All these people that you see over here saying California out of police, out of California. What kind of idiotic mindset is that? Saying we don't want any federal protection. Just break the wall down and let all those diseases, those people who are not immune, their lack of immune systems come into this system. Just let the hepatitis grow like crazy. Let's have more homeless people and people pissing on the street and shitting everywhere. Let's just let the streets be rampaged by more people we do not need. We need to help you. We need to help ourselves. When you're on the plane, they tell you to put an oxygen mask on yourself first. John Cox, I need an oxygen mask on me. I can't share it anymore. I need Travis Allen as governor, and you do too. You do too. There's a lot of things that we still need you for, John Cox, in your fight, but you're fighting on the wrong front line. You're fighting against us on our line, and we want you to step aside and allow Travis Allen to be governor. So, like I said before, SB 54, you need to pay attention. People are at city council meetings, and they're growing. Many of us are rallying together, and we are attending different city council meetings saying no more. We don't want each city to align themselves up with the federal government. Our goal is to get all the cities in line with President Trump, all the cities in line with Jeff Sessions, and not allow them to continue to think that Kevin DeLeon can continue this rampage. Kevin DeLeon, Eric Garcetti, Jerry Brown, Kamala Harris, who ain't black, who claims to be, all these people who keep saying that they're victims of the system for the victims of the illegal immigrants are aiding and abetting. That means they are assisting and working against the federal government and the American people. Those people need to be arrested. Kevin DeLeon should be the first example that the feds should march into his office, knock on his family door, arrest all of his family members, and arrest Kevin DeLeon. We want Kevin DeLeon to be arrested. We want Kevin DeLeon's family to be arrested and deported. And we want him to be our poster example boy of how someone thinks because they become elected official that they're going to change the infrastructure of California. People need to be taken care of. Needs to be taken care of. Let's go to the next subject. Next subject matter has to do with police brutality. What are we coming to, America? People think that if we continue to march around, if we continue to complain, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. We want something to happen regarding police brutality, but we're not going to see anything happen in police brutality. And I'm going to tell you about that, but I want to tell you about two abuse issues. One is a grandmother, 84 years old. I want you to hear her story, and I want you to see what happened in lieu of that.
But first, only on ABC 15 tonight, a new investigation within the ranks of the Mesa Police Department because of what an 84-year-old grandmother has just told us.
ABC 15's Lexi Suter is live tonight looking into this. And Lexi, what are the accusations?
Well, Kim, you're about to see some photos, and make no mistake, they are full of injuries. Now, this incident happened after police were called to a woman's home to check on her grandson. The question, though, that remains tonight, how did she get those injuries? Traumatized, hurt, and sad. That's how 84-year-old Virginia says she's feeling.
I've talked to police out in front of my house for 30 years, and there was nobody that ever behaved like this.
Mesa police were called to Virginia's home to check on her grandson. Virginia says it was a simple welfare check. Police say the call was for a suicidal person with a gun. When officers arrived, that person they went to check on did cooperate. But while police sorted it out, Virginia went out front, and that's when she says her conversation with an officer ended with her injury.
Grabbed my wrist real hard, and just I didn't know anybody could hold you so hard, and it hurt so bad. I said, "Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And I guess the next thing I was waking up on the asphalt next to the police car.
In a statement, Mesa police admit to using force on Virginia, but say it happened because she tried to go back inside and the officer was grabbing her to protect her. Her family is calling for major accountability.
That shouldn't happen. There should never be any reason for an 84-year-old grandmother she's had her 4th stroke in December, to be put on the ground.
What's he doing to other people that he misunderstands the situation?
Police did find her grandson with a BB gun inside that home. Virginia, meantime, was ticketed for obstructing justice. The family tells me they did talk to Mesa police tonight, and Mesa police now conducting an internal investigation. We're live in Mesa tonight. Lexi Suter, ABC 15, Arizona.
Justin?
Okay, so you heard that story. Now, they had to find some reason to justify what they did to that woman. And they said they found a BB gun with a grandson. Can you believe that bullshit? This is what I'm talking about. Police brutality. Police brutality is not biased to black people. We're telling you that the police brutality on the local level have lost their mind. That's in Arizona. Police brutality. This lady's 84 years old on her 4th stroke. Thank God she didn't die. Thank God she did not die. God bless that. That's Ashley Hahn. Ashley Hahn, God bless you for posting that video with your grandmother and those pictures. As she talked about, my heart really started to cry because this is probably this could have been your grandmother. My grandmother's passed away, but my mom's passed away, and I couldn't imagine police just going in and doing a health and wellness check and decide to throw this woman on the ground. And it didn't bother anybody. And they felt that was their normal right to do that. I'm telling you, police brutality is out of control. That was on Valentine's Day. Now, can you imagine family members having a nice dinner, maybe out with some loved ones or with someone they are in love with, and they get a call that their grandma got slammed to the ground who had 4 strokes by police? I'm telling you, something needs to be done, American people. Something needs to be done. I've got another story for you, people. Let's continue to watch.
And daughter was laying right there on the couch.
Sequita Thompson shows us where she was Sunday night inside her home on 29th Street when police gunfire erupted in her backyard.
I went to the floor, and I mean, it was fast. It was a lot of them just go pow, 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 pow.
She grabbed her granddaughter and crawled into her husband's room.
He was saying, somebody was calling me through the window.
Her husband, Tommy Thompson, says he knew by the voice that it was his grandson, 23-year-old Stephon Clark, knocking on his window to be let inside. The disabled elderly couple uses their garage door opener to admit guests.
Like, bang, bang, Tom T. Man, that's the last I heard.
After hearing the gunshots, they called 911, but police officers were already there. Some officers later entered the home to interview everyone inside.
They finally told me hours later that there was a victim dead in my backyard.
What both husband and wife did not know at the time was the man the police had shot and killed in their backyard was their own grandson. Officers insisted they don't look out their back window, but eventually Sequita did.
He was right there dead. And I told the officers, you guys are murderers, murderers.
We can confirm that there was no firearm found.
Sacramento Police Chief Daniel
No
Hahn said
firearm
the officers
found.
who opened fire did have body cameras on at the time. The department is working fast to release video of the confrontation to the public.
When we release the video, people will be able to see what the video shows, and then they can see with their own eyes what happened.
The department says the officers issued commands to Clark in the front of the house, but he ran off to the backyard. Later, the department says he came at the officers with a toolbar in his hand which is when they felt in danger and opened fire. Both Tommy and Sequita Thompson say
He just said they weren't
never
armed.
heard police say anything before pulling the trigger.
Conflicting stories.
Said, halt. Y'all didn't say halt. I heard the gunshots. They took them, and them two officers, they didn't know. God, don't forget, they're going to reap what they sow. You watch, they're going to reap what they sow.
So here we have an 84-year-old woman
If you feel like
who
you're
was
not getting all
killed,
the vitamins
not
you
killed,
need,
who was shot, excuse me. And then we have a 23-year-old black man that was killed. So I have a question for you, American people. I have a question for you. How long will this continue on? Will police brutality continue to not abide by law, but come up with lie and fictitious stories of why they have the right to shoot and abuse the American people? The police have a different standard of laws versus ours. Now, I recently was called a police hater on Facebook, which I do not appreciate. I do appreciate police. I do have friends and family members who are part of law enforcement. And I want to let you know, I am not a police hater. But what I do not support is an abuse of law. What I do not support is police brutality that has commenced for decades. That the police under this administration continues to be praised, but the American people, Mr. Trump, I'm speaking to the White House, so if y'all prepare to get this video, to get him over to the White House. Mr. Trump, Laura Ingraham, the rest of you guys, you need to talk about police brutality, because the police do not have the right to continue to excel in doing acts that are against the will of the people and abuse of guns. We talk about gun abuse from constituents being taken away. They're not talking about guns being taken away from police officers who should not be police officers. California police officers are little small people now. They're 80 to 90%. That took place in Sacramento, California on March the 18th. And on March the 14th, the elderly woman who was not killed, white woman, was not killed but abused, was not killed. The white boy who killed those people, those children in the school, 17 children, was a white boy with a gun. They didn't kill him. They took him away alive. The white boy who killed those black people in North Carolina was not killed. They took him away, gave him a Happy Meal or some kind of meal at a hamburger stand, trying to get him to come up with the truth, and was not killed and was taken away alive. Alive. But for some reason, when we talk about police brutality and where black lives do matter, but the word Black Lives Matter has been abused and stepped upon and pivoted upon as something to talk about else. Black Lives Matters don't matter. They don't matter because those who are running those organizations won't let them talk about what is a monolithic issue, which is police brutality and bias movement against black Americans. And you people are allowing the police to do this. You're doing this because you're allowing those liberal progressives to take you away from the subject matter, which is we have police abuse, period. I showed you two stories. See this elderly woman right here? See her? And those abuse, 84 years old. She wasn't black. See this boy right here in his grandma's backyard? I don't care if he had a criminal record. Don't come tell me on my Facebook page that boy's got a criminal record. Hell, she might have a criminal record. That doesn't give people the right, police the right to abuse the laws that are there to protect us and to claim that they felt threatened. How can you feel threatened when you shot the boy 20 times in his own backyard? How do you feel threatened when the woman's 84 years old who can frailly talk, she's very frail, her body's frail. You can see she's old and she had 4 strokes. Well, what the hell she's going to do? Now you're going to claim this grandson had a BB gun to justify you beating up that woman. I would love for Ashley, if anybody ain't got access to Ashley Hahn, this is what I want you to do. You contact me because we need legislation written up against police brutality. I know many of you guys are marching and you're upset and you're in Sacramento, you're marching in the streets and city council meetings. I commend you. But nothing will take place until you line yourself with other people, white people. I'm sorry, let's check it out. Let's just be real, my people. Come on now, I'm a real sister. You ain't taking my card no matter what party I'm with. Okay, I'm going to make it real with you. We need to come up with legislation. We need to sit down and talk about the Constitution. This is unconstitutional. That domestic tranquility is not taking place in our communities because of police brutality and because the police department has altered its own judgment and rules of how they feel they can govern the cities and the states across the country. Police in California don't even have to be 5'10", 5'8", 5'6", just 5 feet. How can you just be 5 feet? And you know them people ain't 5 feet. Many of those officers are 4'8". They're little women that should be at home cooking. Now you can call me racist, bigot, whatever you want. I've been called it. They call me everything because I'm a Negro. I'm a child of the indigenous slave tribe. My people didn't come here as immigrants. They came as commodity. Still use this commodity in privatized prisons and don't want me to talk about that either. But I'm not letting it go. Mr. Trump, we need you to speak out regarding the matter of police brutality. American people, we need to come up with legislation to hold states accountable for police brutality. And chief commanders, chief police officers, head officers, we need you to sit down with your officers and you take the initiative to slow your roll. And why you're also so gun happy. Y'all been practicing so much shooting, you got an opportunity to shoot somebody, and now you have abused the law. There's abuse in the law today. But the question is, I need you to stay with me. Just stay with me. I know this is not a popular subject and you hear it all the time. And you know there's black people that constantly get shot. And we got people being shot in Chicago and Detroit. Now white people are being shot. But that's okay. But that's okay. It's not okay because it could be you next watching this video. It could be you're 1 to 2 to 3 degrees away from somebody you know who has been abused to this manner, and it only stops when you and me sit down together and discuss subjects like this, share videos like this. Why are police abusing the American people? Why do they are so gun happy? Why do they want to shoot and then come up with some kind of story? Well, they held their hand up, or they reached for their cell phone, or they had a BB gun. Mr. Trump, what do you feel about that? Well, guess what? April asked the question today to the White House regarding the police brutality in Sacramento of this young man who was shot 20 times in his backyard. April asked a question about other people who have been shot by police. And we want to hear what the White House has to say. So let's hear it.
Said yesterday and briefed members of the national security team who then briefed the president.
April, Sarah, Alton Sterling, the charges against the police officers. There were no charges against the police officers in the Alton Sterling police shooting. What does the president have to say about that, particularly as he is a strong supporter of police? And then you have the issue where in the midst of that issue that happened, that fatal shooting of the young man in California behind his grandmother's house with a cell phone.
Certainly a terrible incident. This is something that is a local matter, and that's something that we feel should be left up to the local authorities at this point in time.
About that, he was strongly behind police. He supports police, as much of America does, but wants to weed out bad policing. What does he say about weeding out bad policing when we continue to see these kinds of situations occur over and over again?
Certainly, we want to make sure that all law enforcement is carrying out the letter of the law. The president's very supportive of law enforcement, but at the same time, in these specific cases, in these specific instances, those would be left up to local authorities to make that determination, and not something for the federal government to weigh into.
One more large case. There's one more large case that's still lingering. Eric Garner, that cried out 11 times, "I can't breathe." His mother is still looking for something, an indictment of police officers in New York. Does the president, has he asked them what's the status? Is it going to, if something's going to happen, what?
I'm not aware of any specific action. Once again, these would be local matters that should be left up to the local authority. Kevin?
Thanks, Sarah. Quick one on North Korea and then.
Okay, so there we have it. Local matters. Local matters have to be dealt by local leadership, local administration, and local elected officials. Look, I get it. I get it that every state has different laws, different rules and regulations of dealing with police brutality. But I'm sorry, White House. We need you to step up to the plate. Give us something. Give us something to know and send a sounding board. Send out a warning sign to police nationally that this administration, the Trump administration, will not continue to support police that abuse the infrastructural law of over-abusive actions as we're seeing in this country, especially against African American people in this country. Because there's a two-rule party order. When you allow, again, a young man to storm into a black church and then give him a Happy Meal and not take him out dead but alive. When you allow schools in this country to be shot up by white young men who are taken out alive, but yet a young man walking in the backyard gets killed. A young man who's selling cigarettes they're said illegally, or whatever he did, choked to death by police or killed. Something's wrong. But what difference does it make? They all have, if they have criminal records or not. There's an abuse of power. You guys can't admit that? You're going to tell me that I hate police? You're going to tell me I'm wrong? You're freaking wrong. You're freaking wrong to allow these people to keep getting abused by police. The police in California are 80 to 90% people who should not be police officers. Police officers, their body size are incorrect in California. I'm going to tell you correct what's going on in California because I'm in California. They don't want to deal with ICE police, and they don't want to abide by the rules that used to be. They have altered the regulations and the standards of policing in California over the years and over decades. One is the body size, and I say body size, why is that important? Because if a person who, like myself, is 5'8" and 5'10" with heels, stand over a little police officer woman who's 4'8", she's heavily intimidated just by my presence because I've dispositioned her from my own body type. Number one. Number two, she should never have been given an opportunity to be an officer in the field. These are people that if they did not have guns, nobody would even give them respect, and they know that. These are people that even as well trained as they are physically to take someone down, they know that if they have enough bigger people, they would be taken down if they didn't have a gun. They should not be police officers in California. I give you an example. If you think of war and conquistadors, people who conquer in greatness, who lead through militant actions, you do not choose people who are not worthy like they do in gladiator times. Or when we talk about 300, the movie 300, and the men that were chosen, the Spartans. When you look at those kind of men, you think they were picking women who are 102 pounds to put on 40 pounds of gear? And who acts like a man or looks like a man and shaves their head like a man? You think they would have picked that woman to defend them, to put on the front line for their country, for the people, for the protection? They would not do that. So I don't understand why the standards of policing in the inner city has come down. I do not understand why police have double actions of decision making in a spontaneous moment of choosing, don't shoot the white boy, but shoot the black boy and beat the old white woman up in the ground. You know why she got beat up? She got beat up because they don't abide by the law. They circumvent the law. They act if they're gods in the United States of America. Police brutality has to stop. Has to stop. People are more and more mad at the police. The police should be someone that you can talk to, be friend with, communicate with, help you with. The police should be someone you feel comfortable when they come around. Thank God police is here. People don't feel that way anymore. They're set a presence for the next generation, not only to disrespect the police, but to live in a fear-monger mentality, which leads to an action that is irrational and could lead to death. American people, this is not what we want in this country. We need legislation written up in California. We need legislation written up in Arizona. We need federal elected officials to put a legislation on the table regarding police brutality and a lack of communication with the community, a lack of responsibility to the community. Police should be walking the streets, living in poor communities, living in urban communities, but they don't. They live in 1% communities. They live in hierarchy communities. So you liberal progressive, I got a question for you since you don't like capitalism. Why is it that the police that are siding with you, bringing in illegals, immigrants, working against black people, working against the elderly white people, why do you not ask those people, why aren't you living and communing in our communities? Why? Tell me. I'm going to tell you why. Because they act as elitists like you do. You have double standards, and those standards have to end. American people, let me wake you up. What you need to do. We need legislation to build a better relationship of communication and protection for the American people. The police are there to serve and protect, not to abuse, destroy, and to kill. They have lost their purpose and lost their way, and led by leaders in state, locally, and federally, and nationally that are not working in the people's best interest. Come on now. Mr. Trump, I got something to tell you. Please get this message to the White House, what you just heard. White House, wake up. The American people are tired of police abuse. Stop saying the police are doing a great job, because a lot of them are not. And you at least could say something about what April did say. You know, I don't always agree with April. But one thing she said, bad policing, bad policing. And she didn't come off assertive, and she wasn't aggressive. You guys misconstrued when an African-American person has passion and rail up and who are hurting. You want us to withdraw. You want us to become small and become little in our voice. Well, you've come across the wrong Negro here. I'm not doing any of those things. I want it to be known and on the record and history to remember there were many of us who are radical Republicans, many of us who are radical conservatives that want capitalism to commence and grow in our community so that we can have the money. If anything, I wish black people could have security for their own communities. I wish those black 1%ers would stop saying, let's have government intervention. Since government said right here, you just heard Sarah Sanders said that they will not intervene into local policing issues. Well, if you won't do that, American people, you see they're not going to do anything. What you 1%ers could at least do, you could at least say, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to hire a privatized prisons, policing system to work in conjunction with local police for security for your own communities. Because obviously there's no communication taking place and there's double standards all over the place. American people, we got to wake up. We have to wake up. And I know this is not a favorite subject matter for people to hear. I know many of you guys say, oh my gosh, she's going on tantrums again and ranting about this police brutality and the ICE police and the SB 54. God bless Travis Allen in California for fighting through this. God bless those who go down to city council meetings and speak up against what is injustice in your local state, local, federal, and state issues. Because if we do not speak on those subject matters, we fail as the American people. Do you know the state of Texas was going to sue the federal government if they didn't put on something moving forward against this abuse, a push coming from immigrants, illegal immigrants, and refugees to take over California the way it does? Not respecting and abiding by our infrastructural laws that we have in place. So Jeff Sessions says enough is enough, and now we have a lawsuit. The president came here, saw the wall, and you guys know what happened recently? Excuse me, with the Omni bill. If I said that correctly, $800 billion. Now they're saying they're going to take part of that bill. The man is brilliant. The man is brilliant. You guys thought he was going to go ahead and hire a privatized entity, and that entity had all kind of notions of probably setting up the wall so it has weak points. We have to worry about your weak points, ideologies, and things you were thinking of doing if you got these contracts. We don't need your contracts. The federal government is going to intervene. The federal government is going to build a wall. The federal government is going to use the army to do it. The army to do it. That's what you didn't expect. That's how brilliant President Trump is. On the other hand, Mr. Trump, we need your help because the people are rising. The people are rising in the communities nationally and in the state of California. The young people have had enough. The old people have had enough. Elderly abuse by police has got to end. Police brutality has to end. Well, I think I've done everything I wanted to talk about on this show. I thank God for those who stayed with me during the duration of this show, because I know this is not the most popular subject matter. I know Deborah's on the line. Victor says that psychology, there needs to be some kind of testing. You know, Bridget Milson, I love Bridget, out of Dallas, Texas. Make sure you look her up online, Bridget Milson. I'm probably have her on the show one day, because people keep talking about taking guns away. We had this march about guns. We need to talk about the mindset and the psychological issues within police, as well as within the community and within the teaching community. So I think that's a good point. Monique is on the line. Joy says, I love you. I am not running for office. I think that you need antagonizers. I think that you need people like me who's not going to kiss the baby and hold the hand and like everyone. And everyone's not going to like Shirley Husar. And Shirley has accepted that, because Shirley doesn't like everybody. I always tell you, don't like me, don't watch me, don't share me. But if you love me and you feel that my message is making a change and that the White House is hopefully listening to this message, because no one says directly things to the White House, keep watching. That's what we want it to be done. We have to console those who are hurting, but we also have to be forthright with those who are not being heard. Those people don't have a voice at the table. And the reason they don't have a voice on the table is because they don't have legislation. Legislation is what changes laws and enforces laws to be right within this country. But when you have the manipulation of laws and you have amendments that take place within the laws that are structured, it pivots away from what it originally was supposed to do. Yes. It pivots away from what it's supposed to do, like Kevin DeLeon is doing right now with this bill of SB 54 on the table. That's what they do. That's what people who do who want to change things. Now, we may not like it, but that's how the law works. What we can do is push back and tell those who are in power to not support it. What we can do is push back and hold the police accountable and tell them that we need legislation right now to make a change for all of us. The infrastructure is just not correct. I want to say hi to Beatrice, Michelle, Darlene, Tony, Deborah, thank you so much for watching. Mary, Sheila, Barbara, thank you so much for watching. You guys don't have to watch, but you do, and you listen, and you pay attention. When you have a chance, go back to this video. Look at these videos that I've showed you, which is clips of them. Study what I've just shared with you. Take your handy dandy notebook and make notes. And let's talk about building legislation to deal with police brutality. Let's talk about the Black community 1%ers not looking for government intervention, but looking towards their own people to work together and have a better line of communication. Make sure that you guys follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. And I appreciate you. I truly, truly appreciate you watching me. God bless you. And if you have any other questions, leave it in the comments section. And let's continue this conversation and tell me subject matters that you want me to talk about. God bless you.